Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing another Withering Watchpile episode. Tonight we are doing the non-franchise slashes topic. So no Chucky, no Freddy, no Jason, no Puppet Master, no Ghoulies, although that's not a slasher. Basically anything that doesn't have a sequel or anything like that. A remake, I'm gonna say, is acceptable because I accidentally did a movie that has a remake, and I totally forgot, and so I I'm gonna stretch it quite a bit for this episode, but I don't think it matters. We're here to have fun and talk about movies, and just want to welcome back Cult Flicks Fix to the channel.
Thank you, Christian, for having me again, and it's always a blast. I look forward to each segment we do, and this is a fun topic because I am a big slasher fan, so it goes right up what I watch probably on a daily basis, if not a few times out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm real excited for this one, and I can't wait to get started on it.
So my favorite thing about preparing for this episode is that all of these I haven't seen yet, and they're all like consistently in the top three of the slashers. So that may be a spoiler because there's not so
No.
many great non-franchise slashers, but I finally catched up or caught up, I guess. And I was joking before we started that I wanted to call this episode the Christian catches up with everybody else in the world on the slasher genre because I finally checked off like all the bucket list items of the slasher genre and even the video nasty and also the very sleazy New York based slasher films because I think three of these take place in New York. So
Nice.
maybe that should have been a topic, New York sleaze or
Those
something.
are the best New York thing.
But so I have four movies. So I don't know if you want to go first or not. You did choose the topic, but one of them I can do an honorable mention. I may do. It's my number four, but I may just talk about it real quick before my number one. That's actually sounds good because I enjoy
Yeah,
the
just
movie.
start it since you got an honorable mention. You should just start it.
Okay, so this is not my. I wouldn't say number four, but the other ones are so good, and this is one that I wanted to just watch, and then it had enough slasher tropes that I was like, okay, sure, why not? And this is a Toby Hooper film from 1976. He did it directly after Texas Chainsaw, and it's Eaten
Oh,
Alive,
nice.
which I always, for years, I mixed it up with the Umberto Lindsay one, because it's also called Eaten Alive with a exclamation point. So for years, I was like, wait, did Severin release it or Arrow? And they're like, no, two different movies. I'm like, no, they're not. But this movie is basically Texas Chainsaw, but reduced the entire family into one crazy, crazy guy who wields a very large scythe and has a pet crocodile, which is what you can see on the front. That's really the entire movie, and people come and go and keep showing up to this guy's house because it's apparently also a motel, but everything's shot on a set, so it's really claustrophobic and like also very manufactured looking. And so it's really bizarre. And there's one part where a family of the two parents, a young daughter, and her dog, they all show up and they're like, "Oh boy, we're going to Florida or whatever," because this is like a Florida horror film or something. And they stop by this motel and they're letting the dog kind of run around, and it's a small little like poodle thing, and the dog gets bothered by the crocodile, and the crocodile just eats it, and everyone just descends into chaos and madness. And you have the Toby Hooper really weird sound design where it's like Martin, almost like George Romero's Martin when he goes to the house, and it's like beep 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 boop, and it's just like really bizarre. And that's what the entire movie is these people coming and going, and him, this crazy guy, having to kill everybody there and hide the body. But instead of hiding the body, that he just feeds it to his pet crocodile that he just has, and the crocodile uh, just eats any and everyone. And this is really funny because I recently saw a movie called X in theaters, and I was rolling my, I was just, ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing. I had to think about what it meant. But I was laughing the entirety of X because it was so violent and bloody and disgusting. And one of the big plot points of that movie is that they're making like a 70s like horror porno film, basically like Malabimba or like any like a Texas Chainsaw but a porno, and it takes place in the 70s, and it's them doing that, and they are on this elderly couple's land in like the guest house shooting a porno, and they're trying to hide the fact that they're shooting a porno. And there's a lot of fun scenes of them going like, "Oh, I'm gonna go, swim in the lake," and they swim in the lake, and in the like corner of the frame, you see a crocodile, like just hanging out. And there's a great shot in the early part of the film, where it's overhead like a bird's eye view of like the lake, and you see the woman, I'm trying to get the perspective right. She's like swimming towards this side of the frame, and as she's going out of the frame, you see the crocodile start swimming faster than her, trying to catch up. It's an awesome, awesome movie. But the entire time I was watching Eaten Alive, I was like, oh my god, this is what X was getting inspiration from, because it's a huge homage to the Tobe Hooper films of Texas Chainsaw, of this. And I'm sure the more Hooper films I watch, the more I'm going to notice similarities between X and his films. But that's all I was thinking while watching it, and it was awesome. And there's somebody very famous in this, Robert Englund, I think, before Christmas, Nightmare on Elm Street, where he plays like a crazy like country guy, and he's having sex all the time, and he keeps popping by this maniac's house, and they don't get along together, but it's Robert Englund, and he's just chewing the scenery and just acting like a pro the entire time, and he's great in it. There's a lot of great blood effects, but again, Tobe Hooper was always plagued with a low budget because no one wanted to fund his movies. So everything was on a set for this movie. It says here that it was shot on a soundstage. So in Texas Chainsaw, they actually found a dilapidated house and filmed in there for Texas Chainsaw. And for this movie, they just built everything and had really bright lights in the background with fog machines, so it looked like a swamp. And it's wonderful. I really enjoyed this movie. But it is repetitive, but I think if you're going in with, I'm looking for gore, this will be wonderful. So that was my honorable mention. I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've seen it once, and I really enjoyed it. So I was agreed with everything you said, from a young Robert Englund to, and the guy, the main guy, the creepy guy at the motel, kind of has an outfit like the Sawyer guy on Texas Chainsaw. He has like that. Is it like kind of like a tan outfit that the dad wears? He reminded me of him for some reason when I was watching that. So, and I do have X on the way, so you just got me even more hyped to watch that one.
X is amazing. I was like, because I was the only one in the theater while I was watching it. And I remember the entire time I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing this like in a movie theater. There's so much sleaze and just disgustingness throughout. It is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful.
Nice. I got the Blu-ray coming in on Monday.
There's so many spoilers I want to talk about, but I have to wait. But it is absolutely amazing. And before I was about to take a sip of my drink, but what I have here is a Bloody Mary, which I thought was a perfect drink for a slasher episode. So what I made with it is, of course, the Bloody Mary mix that you can just get at any grocery store, really. And it's basically like jalapenos and like a bunch of spicy ingredients. But
Oh wow.
I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I have Zombie up there by Lucio Fulci. And I got this vodka here because I was thinking about that movie because I'd gotten it in the Blue Underground sale recently. And I finally watched it today, but when I bought this drink, it was like a week ago. But this is the Blue Shock vodka. So you can see that
Oh
there's
wow.
like shocks and stuff all over this. And you can see
Yeah.
like shock fins and all the stuff. So there's a lot of connections to Lucio Fulci and everything that's here. I have Lucio Fulci films being shown. I covered one, which is my number 3, yeah. And then Bloody Mary. So I'm sure in one of these movies there's a character named Mary, and I'm sure she gets killed. So I didn't pay attention too much because I wasn't thinking about it while watching it, but I was like, Bloody Mary. I was like, okay, yeah, I want it. So, but I took a sip earlier, but I gotta stir it again because the vodka, I think. Sorry for the clanking. Okay.
How is it? How's the taste?
So I tasted it beforehand because I was licking the spoon off and it was really good, but
That bottle's awesome. I love that bottle.
yeah, it is. Okay, that's like one of the best drinks I've had. Okay, wow.
Nice.
So what I did is
Always
that
good when it's good.
on the mixer thing, they recommend you do like double the vodka on the mixer, so it's 2 to 1 or whatever. And so I filled it about half with whatever. Well, I guess this is half. Well, I drank some, so I think here that was as much of the mixer, and then from here to here was vodka. So,
Nice.
ooh, wow, that was really good. I can definitely taste the jalapenos, spicy. But yeah, that was my
looks like
honorable mention.
looks like the blood in the slasher films
I
exactly.
know. I
You hit
didn't
it right on
realize how
point.
blood red it was gonna be. I
Yeah.
love it.
Awesome, man. I couldn't get a drink this week. I'm just with Coors, but there was some Coors in one of the slashers, so I guess it would fit it.
Ooh, awesome.
They were drinking Coors in one of the ones I watched. So, yeah. Should I get to my film now here? The first one?
I can't wait.
Okay. So, my first one, this is a first time watch. This is a video nasty as well.
Ooh.
1976. It's Island of Death. And I
Ooh.
got the Blu-ray right there.
Yeah, I didn't do that one.
And I'm just
Awesome.
gonna start by saying this isn't what I expected. He didn't? Okay.
No.
And I never seen this one, and it's not what I expected. I thought like it'd be like an island slasher or something like that, just trapped on an island, getting picked off on a boat. It's not that. It does have a closed setting, like on a like a villa or whatever. But it's this couple. They go to a Greek island on vacation, and they're really charming. You're like actually like, okay, these ones are gonna be the victims or whatever. They just seem too nice and fun like that. And as you get more into it, they turn more demented. And they're actually a couple that's seeking adventure. And their sick way to do it is to pretty much swing and invite people in and murder them. That's their thrill.
Ooh.
So they're the psychos. So you have them going through this Greek island and pretty much going on a perverted murder spree. You see like a lot of sleaze and then some kills right after it. But this is real bizarre, this film. And I could see why it's a video nasty because we have a scene where pretty much the husband's bored and the wife won't give him any sex. So he pretty much goes outside and he pretty much fucks a goat, dude.
Oh my god. I wasn't expecting that.
straight, straight up, I wasn't either. So I was like laughing out loud, and he has the goat, and he's like getting all into it, and I'm like, we have
God.
bestiality, okay. But anyways, this is a Nico Masterakis film. I mean, I've seen a lot of films from him. Could bring up The Dark Room, The Wind. But anyways, he was inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre for this film, but he wanted to make it more sleazy and demented. So he put it that way, and it is very demented and sleazy. And it's number 74 on the video nasty list.
Ooh.
And what's interesting about this couple is they don't think they're doing wrong by murdering, and they think they're cleansing the village by doing this, and they even say there's a scene where he's like, "Cleanse the evil" or whatever he's yelling out, and while they're murdering, and they are bad people they're killing, but I mean, to murder is not good at all. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, the kills are pretty unique. I mean, you got to kill. There's some weird sequences throughout this film where pretty much this guy's in bed with an older lady, and the wife's watching, and because they like to watch while they murder, have and do stuff like that. And he's pretty much pissing on the old lady, dude. It shows him peeing all over her, and I'm like, what the? I had to question my thoughts after this movie for sure. But after that, there's a murder. You got some rape scenes as well. And there's one of my favorite kills in this film that involves a bulldozer because it has a bulldozer go in there and it pretty much traps a lady between it and decapitates her head.
Oh
And you
wow.
just see the head rolling. So I was like, I was cheering on that. I'm sick, so I guess, but I was cheering on that scene. But uh, anyways, this is a real unique and perverse film. It's not the most disgusting film I've seen because I've seen a lot of pretty bad ones. But this is definitely a film you'd kind of want to take a shower after watching because it's just so grimy and dirty. And I mean, you got the twist is pretty unique too. I hadn't seen a twist like this in a film. Pretty much got me off guard. That's what I love. But yeah, you just got these perverted like old men and old ladies, and you just see it like them slobbering. It gives you that disgusting feel throughout this film. Like what the fuck am I watching? You know what? But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I thought it was solid. I'm gonna give it a solid three out of five. But it's probably the least one out of the list, but I still enjoyed it. But yeah, it's not what I expected. I thought like a clean cut, slow slasher burn, but this is the opposite. It's perverse and disgusting, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, overall, solid film overall.
Well, I have two thoughts here. First is that it sounds very similar to Lucio Fulci's "Don't Torture a Duckling," where you have I guess spoilers, you have the priest who feels like he is getting rid of evil by killing all the children or whatever. And my second thought is, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on X.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It
I'm gonna
sounds
get to it
very
as soon as I
similar.
can.
Like, because a lot of those descriptions, like, you have the Texas Chainsaw, you know, connection. And that's I think for all of our movies here, it all traces back to then. Even on one of the movies I have, they actually mention Texas Chainsaw in the tagline. But I think that movie reigns large. And watching X and then hearing you talk about Island of Death, I was like, wow, you just combined Eaten Alive and Island of Death. Like that's it sounds
Yeah,
exactly what it is, what X is.
yeah.
And now I need to see it because oh my god, I need to do like a
It's
huge
strange.
like watch list of like everything connected to X and redo my review because I feel like I haven't even touched X like that deeply as like in like
Yeah,
a academic study sense because there's so much happening like and I didn't realize it.
yeah, yeah. After hearing your reaction, I pre-ordered it. I was like, I'm getting that, and it
Watching it in
got
theaters,
shipped.
I was just shocked. Like I like someone could walk in and see me watching it and judge me for watching it.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
how sleazy it was. Like, because I've seen sleazy movies in theaters, but nothing compared to that. I'm gonna keep
Man,
talking about X forever. So,
that must have been a treat, man,
oh,
for
it
sure.
was best use of my time.
That's pretty much all I got on that film. I don't have too much on that first one.
Okay. So this next one, I guess this is my first official entry. It is number 3, and this isn't to say that this is the worst one, but I just have all the top 3 classics for my 3 choices. So it's really hard to rank them. But this is one
Yeah.
that I only ranked as 3 because I actually fell asleep an hour in. because it was like 1 a.m. Or no, it was like 10 o'clock. And I've been working an extra hour a day at work, like getting home at like 6:30. And so I've been like completely
Yeah.
dead after work, like all week. And I watched this movie and I was like, okay, it should be done by 10:30. I have 30 minutes left. And then I woke up, and then like the next instant I woke up at 1:30 and the menu was playing. And I was like, no. So I had to go back and watch the last 30 minutes of it. And I was like, yeah, that was awesome, but now I need to watch it all, like, in one go as a film.
Yeah.
But this is my Lucio Fulci film from 1982. It is the very sleazy, very gloriously gory film, the New York Ripper. I finally saw it. I finally
Yes.
saw it. Everyone's been telling me to watch it, and I finally did. And I want to give a big shout out to Blue Underground for not packaging Blu-rays with most of the movies on 4K. This is the only one that they packaged a Blu-ray with, so I was very lucky in that regard. But this movie is so bizarre. I was not expecting the killer. This is a much better version than Don't Answer the Phone. It's basically the same, where you have the weird guy who calls in to everyone and kills people, and he's like always ahead of the cops and everything like that. But this killer, he cracks like a duck, and that's all he does, and that's his kind of thing. And so he follows people. He's like whack 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 as he's like coming after people. And there's a part where he's on a ferry and they're driving across, and he goes up to this woman. He's like, and she's like, oh, how can I help you, whatever. And it's like the most bizarre first person like shooting on like the camera side. And he like starts killing her, and he's just kind of stabbing her, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. And then he just fucking like slits her all the way open, and blood just explodes everywhere, and he walks away. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. That was like early in the film. Probably no, it was the first kill in the movie I have here.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
There's a part where a woman is masturbating while watching a live sex show, which I was not expecting at all. Apparently, this is the protagonist of the film. She's a woman who keeps running in with the Ripper, is what the serial killer is named, and she keeps surviving. So he would cut her, and she gets away. Or she almost gets killed, runs away. All of this stuff. And she's working with a police lieutenant the entire movie. And the police lieutenant keeps being taunted by the duck, otherwise known as the Ripper. Because the Ripper calls him on the phone all the time. It's like, hey, I'm going to kill this person at this pier. And they go to the pier, and they're like, oh no, he meant in another city. And they miss the kill. And like all this different stuff. And he's always foiling the cops. There's a really disgusting kill. I've said it before, but I can't handle eye injuries. Anytime I see an eye getting like stabbed or cut or anything, I want to die. And this movie had it. The killer uses a razor to cut up a woman's face, like all up and down. And he meticulously slits a woman's eye in half while she's screaming. And I could not watch it at all. But that's how awesome it was. And the reveal of who the killer was, this was around the time when I fell asleep. So I had to backtrack and rewatch it. But the reveal of the killer, I said, was absolutely insane. I don't remember it right now off the top of my head, but it was awesome. We get a face explosion through the killer because he is killed. This is a slasher film. The killer always dies at the end, except for Silence of the Lambs, I think is the only one. I don't know if that would be defined as a slasher, but point stands. But his head explodes, and blood goes everywhere and showers our protagonist in blood. So that was a lot of fun. I love this movie, but again, I need to watch it all the way through in one go. That's why it's number 3. It would probably be higher, and probably would, but the other ones are just so good.
Mhm.
So the transfer looks great though, and one is it this movie? No, okay, never mind. This is my next movie that I was gonna. Okay, yeah. So that was my number 3. I love it. I'm a Lucio Fulci fan all the way because I haven't
Same
seen
here.
that. I hadn't seen House by the Cemetery. I haven't seen
Oh,
Zombie in a very long time. I saw Zombie in high school, and like that was the last time I saw it. So it was shitty DVD, transfer. But I've been rewatching a lot of Lucio Fulci lately in preparation for this episode. So yeah,
that's why it gets the name Godfather of Gore, man. It comes with that gore that's intense.
it's a shame that he died because he forgot to take insulin. If you remember that story when I was talking about Rack's
Um,
mask.
yeah.
And for those who haven't been watching because a lot of new viewers have been here now in the last like few months, but way back we did a Jallo episode. I covered Rack's mask, and they had a whole behind the scenes like biography about the last year of Lucio Fulci's life, and most of it was told by the amazing director Dario Argento, and I talk about that a lot. And basically, he died because he was watching a great movie and he forgot to take his insulin, and he died. So that's just kind of the
Yeah.
summation, but I have the huge long story about it in that episode if you want to go back and watch it, for those wondering.
Well, I watched that documentary Fulci for Fake, the one by Severin, and that's where it explains it, how he
Oh yeah.
died. You were explaining it with insulin and all that. His daughter's talking there, how she got in her horse accident, fell off a horse.
Oh yeah.
She was paralyzed and all this. It's a
Oh
great
my gosh.
documentary on Fulci.
I've
You
been
need to
meaning
check
to
it
watch
out.
it, but anytime I see a documentary like that of like an actor or a director, I'm like, I must see everything about them first before watching the
Yeah.
documentary. And usually you want to watch the documentary first and get like a
Yeah.
like context to everything. But yeah, Lucio,
It's really interesting.
I'm a fan now. I'm a fan of Lucio Fulci. Everyone can stop
Uh,
telling me to watch his classics. I've seen them
oh,
now.
I love Fulci, man. There's nothing like him. He has his own unique style, putting films together.
Because Dario Argento has like he's very close in terms of the gore, but I think Lucio Fulci.
I'm
I think in the "Don't Torture a Duckling" special features, the like guy who wrote everything or wrote the big biography book on Fulci was like, yeah, Fulci was very pessimistic about life. He had no faith in humanity, so that's why he had like crazy kills.
I'm curious if you saw the toe scene in The Ripper.
The toe scene.
Yeah, and that girl's at the restaurant and the guy slips his toe somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see that. Oh
Because that,
god,
that scene
I
just
forgot about
freaked me
that.
the hell out.
Yeah, and he's like, "You
Yeah.
like that, honey?" And I'm like, "Oh god."
Yeah. It's a disgusting film. Like how I was saying, you want to take a shower after a film. This one is one. The Ripper is one you definitely want to.
Yeah, I definitely want to take a shower after watching it, but I loved it. Like, I always talk shit about sleazy movies, but I finally figured it out while watching these movies. I need something fantastical and fun to kind of piece all the sleaze together. Because for all those movies like Death Wish, where it's so realistic, and I'm just like, just depressed the whole time while watching it. I need my like Japanese, Italian sleaze, where it's always on like fantastical and awesome, and you have the weird music and the sound design, and you have the weird dubbing, which is always an issue in every Italian movie ever. And in Japanese movies, they just really like do random supernatural ghost stuff like out of nowhere, or
Yeah.
they have like really like magical.
Good effects.
Yeah,
Their
like
effects are very unique.
like that's what I need for my sleaze. I need like that separation from reality. So I don't
Yeah.
hate all sleaze is my point.
Gotta have that sleaze, man. Good or bad.
So that was my third movie.
Okay. Shall I get into my second one here? We're gonna go to this is from 88 Films, the Slasher Collection, and this is a 1983 slasher. And I'm gonna go with Sweet 16.
Ooh, never even heard of it.
And this this one's a rare one. It's out of print, I think. But
Hmm.
this is directed by Jim Soto, and he directed Hot Moves, a sleazy film from the 80s. 84, The Last Victim, which I've seen. That's an all right film, not too bad. Well, anyways, this film circles around a young girl, and her name's Melissa, and she's like a stunning, beautiful girl. Like everyone's in love with her, but she's young. The point of this film is she's underage, which they don't get because you have like older man flirting with her and everything. It's kind of
I was like
disturbing. But
Trauma by Dario Argento.
yeah, exactly. But anyway, she moves to this town with her parents, and it's a town full of like bullies and racist people. They're just blurting out racist stuff towards Native Americans throughout this film. And you got a Native American in here that's badass. I mean, he handles them. He kicks some of their ass, so
Good.
it's pretty entertaining. But anyway, she meets up with a boy, and pretty much anyone she goes around ends up dead. So this is a who done it film, pretty much slasher, and they're starting to put her as the main suspect because I mean she's around every murder. Every time a murder happens, she's there. So it's like she, it's obvious she's not going to be the killer, but it's pointing towards her a lot. So, anyways, you got a teenage detective on the film. It was pretty cool. She's the daughter of a sheriff, and she reads a lot of murder mystery books. So she gets that investigation. She's a daughter, but she's outperforming her dad, who's a sheriff, and pretty much putting him to shame. And she's investigating these murders because nothing ever happens in this town. She's like so boring here. She's so bored out of her mind. But once a murder happens, she's like nonstop trying to figure out what's going on in this town. But she anyways, the girl that's the daughter is Dana Kamel, and she came out in Friday the 13th, part 3 and 4. So she's back in this film,
Hmm.
and she's the I say the best character in this film, the standout. But anyways, there's a tagline for this film. It's all why are all the boys dying to meet Melissa? But it has like the dying because
uh,
everyone who comes around is dying. So you got that cheesy one liner on there. But anyways, it pretty much leads to all these murders are happening and it is on a Native American burial ground. So like they think the place is just cursed. But I mean, you got people getting picked off. It's what you see in a slasher film. You see plenty of boobs in this one. It has all that, of course, in the slasher film. But the twist is pretty good, man. I liked it. It's not the best twist I've seen, but it does knock me off guard a little bit. And also the kills are solid. I like the kills, and the killer is kind of Jello like because you just see his POV vision, his or her POV vision. It could be a his
oh.
or her, but I don't want. But I thought that was pretty interesting, and yeah, overall solid slasher. And I got some extras for this film.
Ooh.
So we got Patrick McCanney who plays Melissa's father. He's the sheriff, and this was originally supposed to be played by Leslie Nelson from Naked Gun.
Oh wow.
And he was supposed to play the sheriff in this film, but he had scheduling problems, so he had to cancel
Hmm.
out of this film. So that he would have been a good
That would
sheriff,
have
I
been
think.
magical. I
Yeah,
love Leslie
yeah.
in this one.
And then we got Donnie Shanks. He's the Native American I was telling you about, the tough guy that handles these racist guys at the bar and takes them down. Anyways, Donnie Shanks plays Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Ooh.
So that's a little trivia there for this film. And he plays a tough guy. He has that build. You could tell he was able to play Michael Myers because he's like a pretty stocky person.
It's like with
There's not a high body count. I'll go for
yeah,
it.
it's like because I've been well, not rewatching, but I've been going through the Friday 13th series finally, and I just finished Manhattan the other night, and all I can think of anytime Jason comes on in any of these movies, I'm like, oh, that's a weightlifter, and you look it up, and
Yeah,
all of them are weightlifters and like heavyweight champions, like for all of these movies.
yeah.
So
And you could tell in this film that Donnie Shanks, he's wearing a vest like with no shirt on. You could just tell he's naturally ripped. There's even a shirt scene where he's without his shirt working with a shovel, and you're like, man, this guy could be a professional wrestler or something like that. The way he looked.
you had
But
confused feelings while watching that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just it stands out. He definitely stands out. I'm just gonna put it like that.
That's why it's number 2.
But
Okay.
I mean, he's even oiled up, man. He's like,
Ooh.
so he's not messing around in this film. But anyways, yeah, it's solid, man. I like it. I think this is one of the underrated slashers. I would recommend it. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5
What was
because
it called again?
it's one of my favorites. Sweet 16,
I'm gonna add
and
it to
the
my
reason for that
letterbox.
name is because when the murderer goes psycho, it's on a sweet 16 birthday. So that's when all the
Oh.
carnage happens. Even though the girl looks like 30, but
Jim Sotos, right?
yeah, Jim Soto's.
Okay. Adding to the watch list. It has a 2.7
Yeah,
on letterbox. No 4-star reviews, really. But hey.
I don't listen to those. I enjoyed it,
That's how I am.
but
Anytime someone says something I don't like, I'm like, I'm ignoring it.
you're not gonna get a high kill count if you're looking for like that. It's not. It's more built on the whodunit story. But
So
you
it's
do
like
get
the
some kills.
Jallo novels, or the Jolly novels that Jallo films based off of were doing.
Yeah,
What was
because
those?
you got a girl that the girl from Friday the 13th, like a detective, and she's trying to
Hmm.
figure out. She's pretty much, how would you say it, when she's going from character to character, just learning them. Like there's a word for it, for
Interrogating?
interrogate. Yeah, something like that. Where she's, I know FBI
Sleuthing
agents use
around?
it a lot. Yeah, they're breaking down everyone like that. She does a great job for her being like a supposedly mid-teen in the film, even though she's probably older.
In the
But
30s.
yeah, she's the standout to me. And then I love that she reads horror books. That's her thing. She's all into horror, her books, and she's like a murder. She runs over there like, this is my thing. Stand back, Dad. You don't know this.
It sounds like the Giallo movie I covered. Like, it's considered the first Giallo, which is the Possessed from the 50s. And it's
Yeah,
about a horror novelist who is, like, solving crimes of, like, a killer and is interrogating everyone in town in this quiet, sleepy town where no murders happen. And a murder
right,
happened, and he's the
exactly.
only one looking at it. It's a lovely film.
And her brother's just like making fun of her the whole movie. Like,
Hmm.
grow up, weirdo. She calls her weirdo and all kinds of stuff. But it's entertaining, man. I recommend it. You want the
Awesome.
cheese? It's on high. But that's pretty much all I got on that film.
Well, are you ready? Are you ready for
I'm
my number
ready.
2?
I'm already blown away by your first one.
This one's gonna blow it away even more. um, this is one that everyone ever, including you, has been telling me to watch. Not even recommending, but telling me to watch. This one that I finally watched, and I loved it just as much as everyone else. It is from 1980, directed
Oh,
by William Lustig, starring Joe Spinell. It is Maniac!
oh yeah.
I finally saw it. I finally saw it. It was as creepy, as sleazy, as disgusting, as awesome as everyone said it was. One thing I
Wow.
noticed, because I saw a movie called Star Crash recently that Shout Factory did. It's like a knockoff Star Wars, like a year later. Also starring Joe Spinell, but also starring Carolyn Monroe, who was also in Maniac. It's like a double team,
Love
I
her.
guess.
Love Carolyn Monroe.
Yeah, she's in Star Crash too, but Joe Spinell in that movie plays a wizard the evil bad guy wizard, and he is awesome. He's just cackling the entire movie. But
Nice.
this movie was awesome. I mean, that's what everyone says it is, and it was. So I was very happy. I couldn't watch the 4K. I actually had to go on Shudder and watch the movie because this doesn't come with the Blu-ray. So I had to go online and stream it. But I did not realize that Tom Savini did the special effects, and they were disgusting. And this is 1980. This is around the time when he was doing, I think 4 years later, he did Day of the Dead, which I maintain is Tom Savini's best movie in terms of effects. And this movie, I wrote down that it's basically Driller Killer, but like 1,000 times better. It's exactly the same. There's not much else to say about the story, but there's a great head explosion because Tom Savini does play a character. He sometimes did that for George Romero movies. He was in Martin. He was in Creepshow, I believe. He was in Dawn of the Dead. He was in Land of the Dead, which no one notices, but he's the undead biker guy as a callback to the original Dawn of the Dead. But he gets an amazing head explosion at point blank range with a shotgun, and that was awesome. And I have here as a little bit of background, but any time that Tom Savini is involved with a head explosion, his main technique to do that is getting a lot of dog food and stuffing it into a sack and then dyeing it red and throwing in like a couple chicken breasts and like other types of chicken. And then he stands right behind the target or just off camera and he shoots it with his own shotgun to do the head explosion. That's how they did it. That's how they did it in Dawn of the Dead in the beginning when they walk in and they shoot the dummy. That is obviously a dummy, and it just explodes everywhere. And I want to say that he consulted on scanners, and for that head explosion, because they basically did. Yes, awesome. They basically did the same thing where the special effects guy was right behind the head with a shotgun, and they loaded it with like dog food, ravioli, like just anything they could find. And they put a lot of meat in the scanners one. The scanners one is the best head explosion ever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like all of that came from Tom Savini, I believe. He was like the master of head explosions. But I also wrote down that this movie reminds me a lot of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. But if it was just one guy, because Henry has a sidekick, I believe, for most of the movie that he does crimes with. But in this movie, it's just Joe Spinell being crazy. And he's definitely a lot more bloated than the movies I've seen him in the 70s. So I don't know what was going on back then, but I did not know that he was also in Rocky. I watched Rocky finally for the first time in like 10 years. And there he was again. Like, Joe Spinell has been popping up in every movie I've been watching for like the last week. Like, and I don't know why. So.
That's awesome.
But I love the, because I didn't know this was actually going to happen, but he scalps a woman. And it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. The effects in this movie was nauseating, and I wanted to throw up. That's how awesome the effects were. But it was awesome. I said the ending was really trippy as fuck, and I don't remember it off the top of my head right now, but I'll believe note taker me, because I watched this last week. So
I love that film. It's in my top five, easy. There's a picture of him with Sylvester Stallone on Rocky, where he's wearing a maniac shirt. He's wearing it. He's like with Sylvester Stallone in a picture, and he's. I think he was promoting the movie probably at the time.
Because it is the same year, I think. Rocky was 1980, I think.
Yeah.
I just watched it. I'll look it up, but
I like when he's like crying. He's like crying to himself. He's making that noise, like he's like losing it. You're just like, oh my! It gives me the chills every time.
There's a so because I mentioned this already in the episode, but the movie Don't Answer the Phone. This is why I don't like that movie because, and this is with every bad movie that I don't like, is that there's always the original one that did it a million times better. Just watch the original. And Maniac is exactly that for Don't Answer the Phone. And a little bit of New York Repo. Well, I'm like, why watch that when you have New York Repo and like
Yeah.
Maniac and like all these really, really, really great movies? Because all these little things that like other cult movies try to do better, they don't. Like the killer in that movie is exactly the same as the killer in Maniac. He cries to himself. He's very lonely. He doesn't have anyone to talk to. His job that he's working like barely even treats him like a human being, and it's just crazy. Like
Have you seen the remake with Elijah Woods?
I haven't, and that's what I was. This was my cheat movie that I
Uh-huh.
mentioned earlier, but I did not realize that there was a remake or anything, and I didn't know that it was Elijah Wood, who I love. Elijah Wood. He has a company called Innovision, where he helps up and coming directors make movies. So a lot of people know him from being Huckleberry Finn or whatever, and know him also as Frodo from Lord of the Rings, which is what I grew up on, and I love it.
Yeah.
But he has a cult movie side. He funded the Greasy Strangler, which I don't know if you've seen that movie, but it's also a
I want
slasher.
to.
It's a really disgusting, awkward slasher. I love it. I thought it was one of the funniest movies I've seen, but it's very, very awkward. And he funded that. He funded Swiss Army Man, which I don't know if you've seen that either.
No,
That
I
one's
haven't.
really funny. It's Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe is a corpse that washes up on a beach that Paul Dano is like hanging out at and like shipwrecked on, like this island. And he finds Daniel Radcliffe's corpse and finds out that it can fight endlessly, and every part of his body is like a tool. And so he's like a Swiss Army knife, but he's Swiss Army
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
And
Well,
it is a hilarious movie. So Elijah Wood has his weird side, is my
I'm gonna have to
point.
look out for that one.
It's
Never
on
heard of that
Amazon
one.
Prime, so that's how I saw it. The both times that I've
Interesting.
seen it.
Um, Maniac's in my top five. I revisit that one a few times a year. I just love it.
Oh, I'm probably gonna
and
revisit
and the
here soon, but I don't have a 4K player because Blue Underground sucks. They don't really suck,
they,
but
they
but
should do that. You're paying enough money for it. Should be.
because I never buy Blue Underground because it is so expensive. So I only bought all of these movies because they had a half off sale finally, and it was still $20. So it was like a Criterion
Yeah,
basically.
they're expensive. Yeah, that. I think I watched that film and then the Prowler right after, which was great too. You got to see the Prowler. That one's a. That has Savini on the effects too. I think
Ooh,
Prowler. I'm pretty sure he's on there,
hmm.
but nothing's gonna top Maniac. I mean, it's not gonna even top that.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
be honest.
this is gonna be another of those movies that I constantly reference, and I'm like, yeah, this movie was okay, but it just made me want to watch Maniac again. Like that's how all these
Yeah,
like movies are for me.
and I have
I'm
a. I
always comparing
don't know
it.
if I can find it, but I actually have a beanie that says Maniac in red
Ooh,
from the film, but I can't find it right now. But
somewhere around.
somewhere around, I have everything packed still here, man. So I got to
Yeah.
start unpacking. I'm just too lazy,
All right.
but
What's your next movie?
nice. We're gonna get into the finale. Are you ready for the finale here?
Oh, this is your third movie. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's my third, so it's going by pretty quick.
Yes.
Um, This is gonna be probably the grandfather of slashers. It's called. So it opened up the door for, I'm gonna say, one famous. This might give it away, but one famous franchise, Friday the 13th, was inspired by this. So
I'm trying to
we're gonna go.
think.
We're gonna we're gonna go to the Italian side,
Okay.
and this
Oh,
is
okay. I'm Spanish on my last one. Oh.
Are you ready?
I'm
It's gonna
excited.
go 1971's A Bay of Blood, Mario Bava,
Ooh.
and this is I got it in the box set here. This is the box set, the Mario Bava.
Ooh.
So I revisited this. This is my second watch on it. So I had forgot it. It was years back I watched it, so it's like a new watch. Mario Bava needs no intro, man. Black Sabbath, Black Sunday, guys pretty much opened the door for Jello films. But what I'm told here is he also opened the door for a lot of slasher films with this one, because this one gets the argument that it's a Jello, and then it gets the argument it's a slasher. My
Mm-hmm.
personal opinion, I think it's a slasher, but
It's like with
I
Suspiria.
mean,
Is it a Giallo
yeah,
or is it a ghost movie?
I mean that's an argument. Yeah, people, it's a Jello, it's a slasher. They'll argue till the sun comes up on this one. So, um, I'm gonna get into the film. It's a you got a wealthy elderly countess, and she pretty much has this land on a bay. And it's what's interesting is this bay is straight Friday the 13th. You have a lake, the dock. I thought I was watching Friday the 13th when this film opened up. It's that similar.
The Lost
Um,
Chapter.
but anyway, she's murdered, and it's all about her inheritance. Everyone they're after her inheritance to own the bay, and that's where the Jello aspect comes into play. But anyways, you got murders happening over and over on this Bay Area, and you're trying to find out who the killer is. And there's some real brutal kills in this one. You got some gore. You got a throat slash where the whole neck's opened up, and it's pretty good. I was impressed with every murder in this one. But anyways, you got these random teenagers that just show up at the Bay. I don't know where they came out of, man. They just come out of nowhere, and they're partying here, and they pretty much get picked off one by an unknown killer in pretty brutal ways. And what I was reading here is Friday the 13th Part 2 paid homage to this film. There's a lot of kills from there. If you see from Friday the 13th Part 2, where pretty much a couple's having sex, and then you see Jason go in there and stab him with a spear through the back, through both of them. This film did it first, so that's where they got it. He
Yeah, I
said he
remember
paid
you
homage. He
mentioning
just
that
wanted,
before.
because there's a kill where a couple's having sex and the spear goes through from artifacts inside the house. So it's pretty. It's I said Friday the 13th, and then you got another one where the guy opens the door and a freaking knife, one of those, what are those crooked knives? I forgot what they're called, but it goes right through the guy's face, and
Oh,
it's similar to when Jason does the machete to the guy in the wheelchair, and he goes going down the stairs with the wheelchair.
yep.
Right on. That's where you see a lot of inspiration from this film for Friday the 13th, which he admits. He says that he wanted to pay homage to it because he's a big fan, Sean S. Cunningham, of this film. But yeah, there's even a POV where the killer's stalking a guy in pretty much a shed by the lake. And I saw Friday the 13th again. It's just Jason when it's the mom, when the mom's going to the cabin and pretty much watching him. Straight up the same. I'm telling you, like, there's a lot of inspiration for Friday the 13th, like I said, from this film. Um, and it pretty much leads to the who done it part. You got these ones murdering. It's after an inheritage. You got a psychic in this film that gets murdered pretty brutally. Her whole head's decapitated, and you see the blood squirting out of her neck and everything. It's
That's like
just,
part 7.
yeah, yeah. There you
With the
go.
psychic.
And you got a if you're a gorehound, you're gonna love this film because it's one of the bloodier ones. And pretty much they said it's Bava's most appreciated film. That's what I've read. But anyways, this is we're gonna get into some Dario Argento trivia here. He actually
That's
loved this movie so much, he had a friend go steal the print from a theater. So I guess the friend went, stole the stole the print. They couldn't watch the movie. They had to play Hatchet for a Honeymoon, another Bava
oh.
film, because they didn't have the print. And I guess rumor is that Argento has said that he still has this print in his house to this day.
I hope they
So
remaster it.
yeah.
Using it.
But anyways, that's interesting and pretty crazy shit. But anyways, this film was originally, it has two names. It has Twitch of the Dead Nerve, which was supposed to be its original name.
Hmm.
I hope I got that right. And then also had Last House on the Left too, which got me curious. But when I read it, it has nothing to do with Last House on the Left.
Last House on the Left was after
And
the 71, I thought. That was like 72
yeah,
or
yeah.
73.
This film was a year before, so that's interesting.
Why would it be
I
number
don't know
two?
what that's some oddity. It's just but I
Mario
guess
Bava's a time traveler.
yeah. I guess Christopher Lee went to see this film at the theater and he got so disgusted that he walked out of the theater with this film. And
Oh
he said
my
that
god.
he left to protest this film afterwards, saying it was too violent and not done right. And so yeah, it's definitely, I could see this as a video nasty. I'm not sure if it is because it does have some sleaze. It's ahead of its time. And I mean, you could see Mario Bava's camera action where Argento was inspired. I think Argento took a lot of notes from Bava, which he said he loved this film so much he stole a copy of it. So, but yeah, it's definitely the grandfather of slashers, as they put it. But I highly recommend this film. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I loved it. I mean, second watch, and it even got better for me. So on a second watch, and if you love films like you said, Suspiria, Phenomena, I mean, Fulci, this is where it started. You know what I mean? This guy put it together like pretty much. He started that Italian trend. I can't talk here, but it really surprised me because they said he's the Giallo. With Blood and Black Lace. He
Yeah.
started the Giallo love, but it's interesting because they said here he started the slasher genre getting amped up again too, like after Psycho and all that. He revived it, I should say, with this film.
Yeah, because I was
But
gonna ask, did he do Blood and Black Lace? Because I can't remember anyone who
yeah,
did that one. Because I've seen it and I
yeah,
love that one.
me too. I loved it. I watched it for the first time the other night, and I loved it.
Oh yeah.
But that's pretty much all I got on that film. That's my pretty much the gem out of the bunch for me.
All
And
of
that's
mine have
Bay
been
of Blood,
gems.
71. I wouldn't call mine gems, the last one, but they're all solid. But you're watching the classics. Everyone you've talked about tonight has opened my eyes because I just love those films that much.
I know this last one will too. But I
And
guess I can jump into it. I'm trying not to show it too early. So this last one that I did is one I actually got in a trade today. I did a trade online with someone, and they sent me this movie and an Arrow Academy movie. What's it called? It's a western, but One Eye Jacks, something like that.
okay.
But this movie is one that Grindhouse Releasing has released, and I just got too impatient for a sale from them, and it was up for grabs basically for a trade. So I was like, oh okay, I'll get rid of a old Vinegar Syndrome that I don't want anymore, partner label, and I'll get it. And this is a 1982 film directed by Spanish director Juan Piquer Simon. It is Pieces.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I got the top 3 slashes of all time here. That's not, Friday 13th and all that. I have all my bases
Hard to
covered.
argue that because those are all excellent films.
And this is the movie I said mentions Texas Chainsaw in the box. You don't have to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre, is the tagline. And I love it. And I love this movie a lot. And I saw this on a whim tonight because I was kind of like, should I watch a fourth movie? Should I not? And I was like, yeah, why not? I really want to watch
Was
this.
it your
Huh?
Was it your first time watch, or had you seen it
Yeah,
before?
I've never seen it.
No, you never seen. Okay,
All these movies are first
so
time watches. So, again, this is the episode where I get my checklist checked off.
that's an all-star lineup. That's all I gotta say.
I was very lucky to have all of this, and I was able to actually go home this weekend and get through a lot of Blue Underground 4Ks. So it has been a lovely weekend of movie watching for me,
Oh yeah.
watching all these slashes and all that. And it's only Saturday, but this is a really bizarre movie. It starts out in 1942 with a young boy like doing a jigsaw puzzle of a nude woman, and his mom walks in and is like, "What the fuck? How'd you get a hold of that?" And gets mad about it, and he just fucking kills her with an axe and chops up her body into pieces, and then hides in the closet and says it wasn't him. So he gets away just fine. And then we get a 40-year time jump, and we don't really see who has it, but we get a POV shot of presumably the young boy, now grown up, looking through all the bloody clothing and jigsaw puzzles and the shoes of his mom that is still bloodied from 40 years ago. And he's just like going through them and just looking at them. And the entire movie takes place at I guess, a state college or something, like a heavy, I guess, student body, lots of people in the classes, and all of our students are just like minding their own business, and one by one they are picked off, and it doesn't matter who they are. And the entire movie, there's a teacher, an anatomy teacher, who I thought was the young boy grown up. I thought it was him the entire fucking movie, and I was like, oh, this is so obvious. It is obviously him. He looks exactly like he's 46, 47. Like, it has to be this teacher. And it wasn't, and I was shocked. And I didn't, that was actually the one thing I didn't really care for, was the reveal of the killer, but that's soon to come. But our first kill is that a student is lounging on like the lawn of her residence hall, like reading a book. And there's a gardener who's like with a chainsaw, and she's like, "Are you gonna be here long?" And he's like, "Nope, you're good." And she's like, "Okay." And she's like lounging again, and he just fucking decapitates her by using his chainsaw to cut her head off. And blood goes everywhere, and her legs are kicking while her head is, rolling on the ground. It is awesome. But then we meet the anatomy teacher, who was the teacher of that student that just got killed. And he's like, oh yeah, like she had no enemies, everyone loved her, like she was great, and all this stuff. And they kind of go back and forth. The entire movie is them trying to solve it while the killer keeps on killing. And that's the entire movie, and it's wonderful. He bisects somebody at the I guess the belt line. He just cuts a woman in half and just leaves her body in the shower. It is awesome. There's a really bizarre kill that I had to kind of suspend my disbelief at, but he takes a net and like wraps it around a woman's head and is like pulling her in, and then she's like drowning because the net is over her head and she's trying to breathe, and he pulls her out of the water, and I'm like, oh, he saved her, okay, whatever. And she's like gasping for air on the ground. He very nonchalantly walks to the other side of the pool area, grabs a chainsaw that has just, I guess, has been sitting there the entire time, and he turns it on and he just kills her. And that's the woman that he bisects in half in the shower because she runs away, locks the door, and classic slasher stuff. But the end moment, when it's not really a spoiler, but the killer is revealed who it is, and it was not the best in my opinion, but whatever. Everything else is great in this movie. The killer, like in the final shot, they think this killer is dead, and our one of our students is like hanging around, being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the cafeteria now," and the killer grabs him by the crotch and rips off his dick, and it freeze frames, and it's like the end. And I was like, the best movie ever. Like, I don't need to watch anymore. I don't need to know what they did with the killer. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. His dick was ripped off by hand in the final shot of the film. I don't care. Like, I don't even care about the reveal of the killer being the most bizarre, random thing. Everything else is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a first time watch for me, and
love that film.
I didn't realize it was a Spanish horror film, because I remember because I put the disc in and it was like, do you want the English one or the Spanish one? I was like, what's the difference? Is it just dubbing? I found out that the Spanish one's the unrated cut, because the American edition cut out all the gore in the movie. And I was like, that's no way to watch it. And I haven't even seen the movie. I know this movie is exactly that. And I love that the actual tagline for the movie is it's exactly what you think it is.
Cause I need a T-shirt of that.
So do I.
I just love a T-shirt of that.
Because this movie, like, is exactly what you think it is. When you hear the title, Pieces, and you see the chainsaw on the front, and you know it's a slasher movie, like, the whole movie's in your head. You know what's going to happen. And I knew ahead of time all of the different kills. I knew someone was going to get cut this way with the chainsaw. I knew someone was going to get beheaded. Wow. Like, all this stuff. And it was still awesome. We do get a Giallo antagonist in this movie. The killer. He's a black-gloved killer. We get first-person POV shots throughout. It's a lot of fun. I love it. Absolutely no one under 17 admitted to this performance, is what it says in very tiny font. But this is the Region B edition. This is the first Arrow Region B that I own. So, and I'm so happy it doesn't have the marker on the side. I'm happy there's no, like, octagon right here saying 18.
Yeah.
Because they have it on the back here. But
those are annoying.
It was wonderful. I loved it. Has a lot of special features too.
I always laugh when the lady screams "bastards!" like all extreme. Oh, yeah. She's just like "bastards!" I'm like, it's like over the top acting. Yeah, I love that film.
I didn't realize.
I've seen it about 4 times maybe, but I've always enjoyed it. Yeah,
there's an interview with Joe Bob Briggs on here.
Is there?
Yeah,
I love Joe Bob Briggs, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a huge appreciation for the movie, and an analysis is what it says. But they say Joe Bob Briggs is on here, and I know he has a lot to say. Oh, and they were originally gonna do a sequel to this movie, and they talk about the scriptwriter talks about talking with the director on what he would do with the sequel. So very cool.
I can't go against your lineup. That's just those are like 3 of the best films of all time to me, honestly.
Oh yeah. Like, I remember going in, I was like, well, Maniac I have to watch. Hopefully you don't watch that again, because you already covered it, and you say you watch it all the time. And I was like, oh god, please don't watch it for this episode, because I want to cover it finally. And I was like, New York Repo, I have to watch that. Like, I've been meaning to watch that forever. Pieces, I've been meaning to watch that. And Eaten Alive was actually my first movie I watched for this, and I was like, okay, sure. And I wrote notes on it, whatever. Actually, I wrote no notes for this. I just kind of knew what the whole movie was. And after watching the other three, I was like, yeah, it'll be an honorable mention. Let's just start off really nicely and just go up from there.
I, I could tell you one I had that I didn't watch if you want to know.
Sure.
That I haven't seen. Dress to Kill was on the list.
Oh, Brian De Palma. Yeah.
Yeah, De Palma, but I didn't.
That
I
was
didn't
good.
at the last second. I didn't put it there. I don't know why.
That's Christopher
But
Walken, I think.
is that a slasher? Would it be considered a slasher?
Yeah, I would.
That's what I. That's why I hesitated because I wasn't sure if it was a full slasher.
Yeah. It's on Criterion, I think.
Yeah, I
Shockingly.
got it on the cell. I got it on the cell. But I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch it soon.
Awesome.
I've never seen it, so
I saw it years and years and years ago, and I enjoyed it. It's very similar to Psycho. So
I'll I'll probably enjoy it then.
yeah. So our next theme, and I already decided it earlier, because I was going through the list of these type of films, and there's a lot. There's a lot of movies that fit under this category. It is the video nasties theme,
Yes,
and I can't wait
nice.
for this one because there's a lot. And I don't know if I'll be strict on this or not. I probably won't. But an idea I had was that there's 3 sections with the video nasty list. The first one is section 1, which is where they actually arrested you if you were caught selling
Yeah.
the VHS tape. And then the section 2, which was like, okay, they won't arrest you, but you're not allowed to have this anyway, like in a video rental store. And then section 3 was like, oh yeah, they tried to make it, not show up in video stores, but they couldn't. And that's like your Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead, and movies that I would never consider that bad in terms of the sleaze and all that, because section 1 is just all sleaze and like nastiness. So I'm excited.
I am too. I didn't know that there's sections of that. That's interesting.
Maybe I'll watch
I'm excited
Censor
too.
again.
I gotta rewatch that because I watched it once and it didn't do it for me, but I think it'll grow on me the more I watch it.
I don't know if you've gone down the deep rabbit hole of the Wikipedia page about video nasties,
No, I
but I
haven't.
used to do that all the time growing up because that's how I heard about the video nasties back in high school. But watching that movie, I was like, whoa, I know all of this, like, and it was so much fun. I loved Sensei. That was one of my favorite movies of like one of my favorite blind watches from last year, where I just picked it up on a whim from Vinegar Syndrome, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty awesome.
I know I like the cinematography and like the color scheme was nice.
And
But
at the end of the movie, for the final, I think 15, 20 minutes, when everything devolves into chaos and madness, the camera goes from widescreen all the way into letterboxed, just like the original like slashers from like the 70s and all that. Like it was on, I guess 45 millimeter or 35 millimeter. So
see, I didn't even catch
it's
that.
a
That's how.
it's very gradual, but it slowly shrinks on the
Yeah.
uh,
Wow.
aspect ratio. It is so awesome.
I like I like that killer like on the movies. I wish he would have been like real. That's what I was like rooting for. Was that guy to just come out and start
Come out of the
slicing
movie
everyone up?
screen.
Yeah, that was. And he didn't do it, so I was like, ah. But I gotta watch it again, like I said.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it, and well, first I'm gonna go through the special features, I think. But yeah, I'm excited for the Video Nasties one. I have no idea what I'll watch because I've
Me
seen
neither.
about half of them, and the other half I have no interest because they're all like really, really sleazy or very much a knockoff of like good movies. So a lot of cannibal movies are on there too.
nice. I try to keep it first time watches if I can, but it doesn't work like that all the time. I'll go back and revisit one just because it's that hard to put, you know, fresh together because I've seen so many of the older films.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep it fresh for me, but I try my best. So I'm interested in this because I haven't even gone through that list you're talking about.
This is a
So
fascinating list.
I look forward to it.
Okay, well, great. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you again, Cult Flicks Fix, for coming on and chatting.
Thank you, Christian, for having me again, and I look forward to the next one, man. They're all fun.
Thank you.